Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Minister of Education Gerlin McGill is emphasizing that the process of accreditation at the community college cannot be rushed. This response came as Opposition Leader Annie Mustas posed the question in Parliament to the Education Minister as to how many associate degree programs are at the community college and how many are accredited. Minister McGill said there are 22 programs, and like many of the community colleges across the OECS, this country's community college is not yet accredited. She explained that accreditation can only be done by an accreditation council or board, and that there are two main types of accreditation.
Accreditation is a process of validation in which colleges, universities, and other institutions of higher learning are evaluated by an independent body such as an accreditation council or an accreditation board. Universities and other higher learning institutions cannot offer accreditation to other institutions. Accreditation is a relatively new process in the Caribbean. None of the OECS community colleges are accredited, and neither are most of the other community colleges in the region. What are the types of accreditation available? There are two types of accreditation: institutional accreditation and specialized, professional or programmatic accreditation.
The Education Minister further explained that the process of accreditation began in 2012, and in November of 2013, the college was granted pre-accreditation status through the SVG Accreditation Board. She said accreditation is expected to be completed by October of this year, but she stressed that the process must not be rushed.
Currently, in September 2015, the National Accreditation Board is carrying out a series of visits to the college. These visits began on September 8, 2015, and will culminate in October 2015. Following these visits, the community college will continue on its self-study, which is aimed at strengthening its policies and procedures to ensure that quality is maintained in all of its operations. The results of the National Accreditation Board visit will guide this process. Until this process is complete and the National Accreditation Board awards accredited status to the community college, the institution cannot be described as an accredited one, and neither can its associate degrees be described as accredited. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I wish us to understand that the process of accreditation cannot be rushed.
In making the bid for the approval of a US $16.5 million loan for the Argyle International Airport project, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says the non-support for the loan by the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, is an anti-national act. Despite the opposition's position, Parliament approved the bill for an act to authorize the government to borrow monies to assist the financing of a contract related to the Argyle International Airport and connected purposes. The Prime Minister outlined that the monies will be borrowed from a facility with the United Kingdom government, and already US $6.2 million have been spent on the purchasing of equipment and other items.
The two zippers which you have in Montgomery not working right now, which people see with their eyes, all of these equipment and more, they are there, purchased already, or sourced and coming. So the $6.2 million which we have already paid. If I don't get the approval for this money, I have to find that back. That's the reality. And then what we owe NSG, we have to find it somewhere else.
The Prime Minister says the lack of support by the opposition is highly irresponsible and that they will suffer at the upcoming general elections for their stand.
The opposition act today is purely political demagogue. political standpoint, I am very pleased that you are proposing it. But from a national standpoint, I am disappointed because it's an anti-national act. And you will pay a heavy political price, I advise you, in these elections. If you continue to oppose it, you will get an opportunity, because I'm going to ask the Honorable Speaker at the end for us to have a division in the House.
Opposition leader Anim Eustace says his administration will no longer support the financing of the Argyle International Airport because he wants to see the economy improve. Eustace, who is also an economist, says the airport has repercussions for the country's finances as the project is 1.5 more than the gross domestic product, the GDP. The opposition leader says trusted lending agencies such as the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, and the World Bank have made little input into the project because of the lack of proper documentation, among other things. Eustace says he's extremely concerned that the airport has become a heavy burden to the national economy.
Implications for the whole economy. As a matter of fact, the cost of the airport is about 1/2 of GDP, or more than 1/2 per year, given the figures we have. This is a very important project. But throughout the process, I noticed one thing, that agencies who play an important role in our economy are not much involved in this. They're not much involved. Those are only your prime lenders. And in terms of their contributions, financial contributions, there's not much to show. And that's what is needed.
Leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Anim Eustace, is making a plea for the persons whose lands were acquired for the construction of the Argyle International Airport to be paid. Speaking at a political meeting in the Southern Grenadines over the weekend, Eustace says the government has already sought some $800 million for the construction of the airport, but some 61 persons are yet to receive payments for their lands.
And we know summary of $800 million being sent to the airport, and certain things are not yet paid for. There are 61 people who own land there who sit and are paying for the land. The land is to pay for. There are 800 not plenty it is bought. But more and more money. And for the certain who did some analysis where the consultant has said that the airport will cost 1.1 billion, not million, 1.1 billion, that's 1,000 million. And we have to pay for that.
Prime Minister and leader of the ruling Unity Labour Party, the ULP, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is calling on the people of Mariaquot to show their appreciation to the work carried out by Member of Parliament Gerlin Miguel and vote for her successor, St. Clair Jimmy Prince. Prince, who will be contesting the seat as the ULP's candidate for the area in the upcoming general elections, made his maiden speech on the political platform on Sunday evening, flanked by family and other candidates of the ULP.
But Gerlin Miguel, who has served you faithfully and well, whom you trust, she has endorsed Jimmy. And I said to you that one of the biggest signs of gratitude that you can deliver for Gerlin is to give her Jimmy Prince to succeed her. That is a way to tell her tangibly that you thank her for her tremendous service.
Dr. Gonsalves says his administration has worked hard to improve not only the Mariaquot constituency, but the overall country.
We have a compelling developmental narrative which includes a philosophy which touches everyone and the nation as a whole. And from our vision and our philosophy and our study of the real conditions emerge our policies and our detailed programs. And if you look at what we have done from 2001, you will see that we have been faithful to our vision, which is people-centered.
The current wage freeze for public servants is affecting their ability to comfortably exist in society. This was expressed on last Sunday's Hit Talk program by Roderick Jones, a barrister at law here. The topic discussed was the 5-year wage freeze for public servants and whether they should be entitled to an automatic increase every 4 to 6 years. Jones says he has had encounters with public servants who work hard but they still have difficulties, whether it be paying their bills or not being able to take care of their families properly. He says at one point the wages earned by public servants could afford them to live lavishly, but with the current inflation rate in this country, everyone is worried about being capable of paying for the essentials.
$20 in 2012, $20 in 2013 and 2014. You're making the same salary. The nominal value of your salary is unchanged. But the real value, by that I mean what that $20 will be able to purchase, is going to fall on a yearly basis because prices continue to increase. So what it means, therefore, that $20, what it would have been able to purchase in 2011, will be significantly less as regards its real value in terms of what it will be able to purchase in 2015. Why? Because cost of living continues to increase. Now, this is the reality that we have to deal with. And it's against this backdrop we have to try to put things in context as regards this particular topic.
And President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, says that from the results of the regional and local examinations over the last few years, local teachers have been doing a very good job, though he says it is very difficult for anyone to work under the economic pressures of the society.
Teachers and public servants pay more taxes than most OECS islands. Teachers and public servants made a significant sacrifice not to request a salary increase in the interests of the rest of the society, and this has happened for many years. The industrial climate in St. Vincent and Grenadines in comparison to other CARICOM states was good, despite the consistent violation by the government of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union collective agreement. St. Vincent and Grenadines is amongst the lowest paid minimum wage in the OECS. The real value of $100 is approximately $85, or was in 2010, so now it's less. Pensions and gratuity have been affected as a result of the wage freeze that was imposed upon teachers and public sector workers.
Public Relations Officer of the SVG-TU, Wendy Bino, says that the teachers should be commended for choosing to remain in SVG to continue to effectively execute their jobs of developing the young minds of the nation, even though there are other options. In reference to the wage freeze, Bino says that a feasible solution must be presented that all parties can agree with.
This current administration continuously denies good trade union practices of negotiating for salary increase. Our teachers and public servants, or public sector workers, want a reasonable standard of living for ourselves and our families. And we really have to commend them for not going to greener pastures and for staying and, ensuring that they still are productive, even with a wage freeze. It has been tough for everyone, and we can't even begin to play catch up in a race with no finish line when we look at cost of living. It also negatively impacts the social and economic status. It adversely affects morale and it definitely affects productivity.
Meantime, President of the Public Service Union, Elroy Boucher, says that the current administration has not made it any easier for public servants to make ends meet. Boucher says that taxes in SVG are much higher in comparison to most other OECS countries in the region, adding that this alone speaks of how difficult it is in the country.
Financial difficulties that are faced by public servants, teachers, all government workers. When I looked at the government's budget from the year 2012 to now, I see government attempt to increase revenue. And each time there are fiscal measures in there that impacts on all workers, whether it's excise tax, whatever the taxes, increased taxes. From that time, every budget year, some increases, whether it's custom duties, something. And it makes the burden greater on the public servant, makes it more difficult for us to make ends meet. This year, school reopened, and when you hear the cry of the parents coming to the union, even for assistance to pay fees to go to the college, the entrance fees, we don't have a lot of money, but we had to bend over backwards to try and assist.
Furthermore, Boucher says the struggle is real for public servants and that the increasing cost of health care, for example, makes it difficult for public servants and other Vincentians to take proper care of themselves.
Difficult times that we're living in, and it's very real. It is so real that when you go to the supermarket, which I went on Friday, the things that you want to buy, you can't buy. And the impact that it is having on even your health. And later, I hope that we'll be able to show the constant increase in the cost of health. It impacts on our own ability to live healthy lives in the context of these difficult economic times.
And President of the SVG-TU, Oswald Robinson, is encouraging public servants, in particular teachers, not to be afraid of getting laid off or speaking up about the hard times they are facing because of the challenges brought on by the wage freeze. Robinson says that it costs more to lay off workers and adds that the recent demand for a 1 month's tax-free salary in lieu of the 5-year wage increase has nothing to do with politics or the upcoming general elections, but is an issue that has been affecting them for some time now and which must be addressed.
Those people who are being scared out there say, oh, you'll be laid off. That's nonsense. Okay? But the point is we have to remain focused on the real issues, and those people who are thinking about politics, it is not the workers of the country who has caused this request now as a demand to have this publicity now in which election is just behind the corner. It has nothing to do with elections, whether before or after, because we started to talk since last year, December.
A 2-day training seminar dubbed Introduction to Human Trafficking will commence here tomorrow. The training session, to be held at the Ministry of Telecom's conference room, is organized by the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit, the ATIPU, of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG-PF, in collaboration with the National Task Force and the National Working Group Against Human Trafficking. This training is geared towards sensitizing and equipping law enforcement officers and other stakeholders, both from the public and private sectors, to effectively combat human trafficking. The keynote address will be delivered by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Commerce and Trade, Camilo Gonzalez. The sessions will run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily. The High Court criminal session of the new law year 2015-2016 officially began here early today, Tuesday the 22nd September, with Justice Catherine Latrou presiding. A cause list that was published by the High Court shows that there are 91 cases listed to be heard. Dominating the list are 30 cases of murder along with cases of attempted murder, wounding with intent, robbery, possession of firearm, handling stolen goods, rape, unlawful sexual intercourse, manslaughter, among others. The prosecution is being led by Director of Public Prosecution Colin Williams, assisted by his deputy Colin John, along with Crown Counsel Carl Williams and others. Vincentians are being encouraged to work together to keep the beaches and other coastal areas clean. The appeal comes from Empress Madupe Olufunme Jacobs of the Rastafari movement here, who says that keeping the beaches clean is to the benefit of all Vincentians, as it will lead to less rodents and health issues, and will also attract more tourists who often gravitate to healthy, clean environments. Jacobs and her team were on Saturday involved in a cleanup activity in observance of International Coastal Cleanup Day 2015, observed on September 19th each year. Jacob says it is her hope that Vincentians can use their motivation to continue the effort that they have started.
Beachside, just between Sassine Boatyard and Howard Marina. This is about how much trash that you can see. So you really see in this short space the importance of keeping our coastline clean, because all this debris harbors rodents, it harbors just all sorts of nastiness that we really need to keep our coastline clean. And we hope that this activity today will help raise awareness for the people at Villa Calico, for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that we don't have to wait for International Coastal Cleanup Day to do this. We should be vigilant and be aware and try and make an effort to do something like this.